Here we go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Merge Feast, the episode before the finale. Welcome back, Logan and Brandon.
What's
Welcome
up?
back, Blake?
They finally did it. Somebody finally made a move. Before we get into the craziness of this week, I have a request for next season. I kind of miss tree mail. I don't know about you guys. I remember in the old seasons, we used to get, that was a part of each week, it seemed like, where they were getting tree mail and clues about the challenges or whatever it might be. And it's a quick 45 seconds to a minute that I kind of enjoy and kind of miss. So I wish they would show a little bit more of that. Kind of a rush of nostalgia kind of came back after watching this week. So
Give us tree mail, and while they're at it, they can give us the shelter building montage as well.
yeah.
I like
It's the tree mail's the thing that you didn't realize that they kind of stopped doing, and you miss it. But like, I don't know. I definitely would love for it to come back. I don't think it's that big of a deal to have a 30-minute clip of them getting that and bring it back.
Even if they use that as part of a clue for the challenge or an immunity idol or something, I don't know, just would be kind of fun. And that seems like a core Survivor thing with the tree mail. And so, yeah. But speaking of tree mail, I noticed that we do have a couple emails. So
See what you did there. That was good. Okay. I like it.
So I'll kind of start with Samantha. She emailed us back, so thank you very much. But one part in here that I kind of want to focus on, because it's going to lead right into the discussion for what happened this week. She kind of reiterated everything we said last week about just between Kyle and Kamilla and how they ran out of time, and just why nobody was making a move, and kind of thinking, okay, Kyle, Kamilla, Mitch, Shaheen can still come together and go all the way. If somebody other than Eva or Joe wins the immunity or the advantage, then maybe we'll see a shakeup. And funny enough, we did see a shakeup, but it wasn't in the way that I really expected. And I don't think it's in a way that anybody necessarily expected, because Joe did win immunity and Eva has an idol. So it's like, what do we do? And Kyle and Kamilla once again put on a masterclass of how to work the room. And I don't know, I'm really curious to kind of hear what you guys think of how that all played out, because it was pretty awesome.
It was definitely one heck of a move. From obviously talking about splitting up not Kyle, Kamilla, Joe and Eva, going after Joe, he gets idol or immunity, coming up with another plan. We've seen this from Kyle and Kamilla before, and it's just awesome to see them to continue to do this and for them to be completely under the radar. I don't know. I thought it was really cool for them to come together, for Kyle to come up with a plan. What?
What's your problem?
What?
I can't even hear you now. You're muted.
I'm sorry. I just realized that you guys are both wearing backwards hats, and I don't know. I don't know. Oh man,
The backwards hat crew.
I thought the thoughts running through my head was like, let's see if we can pull this off and nobody notice. And I just imagine you guys having that conversation before I got on here. So I'm sorry. That was, sorry, Logan. Oh man.
Well, I have no idea where I was at, so let's just
And we'll
either
see you next
start
week on the
over
Merge
or
Say goodbye, Logan.
goodbye, Logan.
Oh
So
man.
I'll get to my thoughts. On the move, I didn't see that coming either. I thought that they were just going to go, like, let's just go straight after somebody. But I think I said it last week, they're Kyle and Kamilla, if they want to make a move, they're going to have to kind of come out that they're working together, and they found a way to avoid doing that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I was concerned because I felt like there was a few things that they didn't consider about Joe, just straight up asking Shaheen, hey, do you have an idol? Did you do this? And Eva also poking holes in the plan as well. It went as well as you could have possibly imagined if you were Kyle and Kamilla. Fantastic. And after weeks and weeks and weeks of waiting for something to finally happen, we finally got it. And I feel like the tides are turning to almost an obvious Joe/Eva win, to maybe there is a path where Kyle or Kamilla come out victorious in 48.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think there's a very, very good chance that we see a Kyle or Kamilla win. I mean, even with Joe being there. I mean, like they talked about today, of we even got Joe to take out one of his own, like coming up with different moves. They've been doing this the entire season, working together completely under the radar, have a lot to talk about. I think they have enough to win, even if Joe's there. So
Yeah, I think their biggest hurdle is going to be each other, and we kind of saw a glimpse of that when it showed the episodes for the preview for next week, where Kamilla set Kyle down, and it looked like she had the conversation of, hey, my best shot of winning is not sitting next to you.
Was she talking to Kyle there? Is that confirmed?
it looked like it.
Okay.
It definitely looked like it, but it may have just been a slick edit.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see a situation where somehow Kamilla wins Final Four and decides to send Kyle in to make fire, saying like, hey, I'm not going to vote you out, but I also can't take you. Like, you know?
And
So I don't know.
something interesting just about the final players is, I don't know if this was Shaheen just saying it, but it almost kind of felt like they don't feel like Eva has a real shot of winning the game.
Yeah,
I kind of got the same vibe from him. I mean,
yeah.
she doesn't have a ton to speak for on like gameplay. Yeah, I mean, strategic of the core alliance of the honest group and the muscle and some of that. But I mean, outside of that, it was not much else.
And realistically, she hasn't really played the game. She's just aligned herself with a good alliance, and we've talked about that a little bit over the season, that at some level that is playing the game, but I don't think it's enough to get you the win. And I think people are starting to realize that, which probably speaks to why they haven't gone after them like before now, or at least tried to split them up. So I don't know. This episode was really fun because I'm glad somebody finally made the move, but it was way different than I expected and gave me a lot more to think about than what I anticipated. Because as glad as I am that they made the move, I was also really sad to see Shaheen go, because he was who I was hoping would win the whole thing. Like everybody was talking about, and we kind of did too. You've got Joe and Eva, and you've got Kyle and Kamilla, and Shaheen's kind of right there in the middle. And he was spot on with Kyle saying like, hey, you and I are right in the middle, but really it was all Shaheen that was in the middle of both of those alliances, and they played him like a fiddle. And I sat there wondering, I don't know, Jessica did too. She even said like, why did they have to lie about him having the idol? Wouldn't it have been enough to say like, hey, he's throwing your guys' name out there? But then you see how that conversation went with Joe, and as soon as he talked about the idol and then went and talked to Kamilla about the idol, he's like, wait a second, he hasn't shown me that at all. Like, that just created that extra layer of doubt. And he got so close to blowing it up. And I know I'm going all over the place here, but then I started to wonder, okay, let's say Joe doesn't make the finale, and neither does Eva. Let's say it's Mitch, Kyle, and Kamilla, and they say, hey, we totally blindsided you. Is he going to be bitter and hold on to that and be like, man, I trusted you guys. I want to play a trustworthy game. I'm going to throw it to Mitch because he never really lied to me. Didn't play with him, but he didn't lie to me.
I think it definitely opens up the voting a little bit more. And it's just, I know it's tough and a cop-out, but it is going to depend on what type of jury we see.
Yeah.
Because I said it last week, like, I don't think that the jury's really that favorable for Joe and Eva. I do think they obviously have a chance, but like if you're David, Chrissy was annoyed at them. Cedric doesn't have any ties to them. Mary, obviously, same boat. So, in a way, Kyle, Kamilla, Mitch might be a lot more interesting. I think it'd be a good showdown between Kyle and Kamilla to see who can kind of outshine the other and who gets credit for the move. Or
do you think that'd be really interesting to see the final, like them talking back and forth and their game with it being fairly similar?
So well, I guess we can get into that in a little bit, maybe some hypotheticals and talk about each person's game a little bit. But what, during the reward challenge, were you surprised at who Shaheen picked with Joe and Kyle? Because everybody thought that Shaheen was kind of dumb for picking Joe, but
it felt like it felt like his picks had nothing to do with the game. It felt like it was, you're clearly a good guy, Joe. I'm going to pick you. And then Kyle, hey, you're getting married in a month. Let's celebrate. I think he kind of stepped out of the game when he was in that thought process.
And I guess it ultimately came back to bite him. But in those moments, I mean, I want to talk about Joe's story a little bit this week that we saw from him with his sister. But it's those moments where you're building those like bonds with people that I think elevate your game to a whole nother level. And I feel like this season, more than a lot of seasons in the past, there's just a lot deeper conversation and a lot more like just raw emotional connection. And we're going to bond over these, whether it's traumatic or funny, or like we're going to get down and dirty and talk about some uncomfortable things. And like, that's where this has been such a tight-knit group, at least for, a handful of people. And at that moment I thought, oh, like this is in the bag. They're voting Mitch. And then it all got shaken up. So I don't know. It went from me being very confident that Mitch was going out to like, I don't know what's going to happen. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun to watch.
I definitely think like you said, Brandon, it was more like outside of the game and not like strategical. Thinking of it in a strategical standpoint of not having Mitch, Kyle, and Kamilla all back at the beach at the same time, I think was played out really well and could have changed this episode. But if it was a strategic thought and he did that on purpose, I mean, great. Obviously, it didn't work out in his favor, but I thought of that immediately. I was like, oh my gosh, that worked out in Joe and Eva's favor.
Yeah, I do want to say, because like you said a few seconds ago, Blake, that you didn't know what was going to happen tonight after the reward challenge, and like super refreshing. I know, kind of beating a dead horse with like nothing's happened this season, but it was nice to like go into the back half of the episode and be like, I have no idea what's going to happen. Especially when Kyle pitched that idea to Kamilla, that was out of left field, and it just made an episode that, I said it before we got on, but the prior episode to tonight is the worst rated episode in Survivor history on IMDb. So to be able to rebound from that and get this, is,
Yeah.
I don't want to say save the season, because I think this season is going to go down as you either love it or hate it, but it's going to help and go a long way.
And to take that a step further, I didn't know what was going to happen even into the third vote, because I thought, okay, if they're flipping on Shaheen, Mitch is only going to get one vote, and that would be Shaheen's. And Mitch got 2 votes, and I thought, okay, maybe it is going to be Mitch. And then it was all Shaheen. I was like, wait.
Did you guys see that, and who voted them?
Yeah, it was Shaheen and Kamilla. Mm-hmm. And that was probably strategic, just in case he pulled out an idol or Eva pulled out an idol, like something like that. Then, okay, Mitch has got votes.
Yeah, no, it made sense. Just on the off chance that, like, 1, let's say he does actually have an idol, but 2, it still keeps Kyle and Kamilla, like,
Yep.
undercover.
Separate.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, super smart. Did you notice how negative Shaheen was up until he won the reward challenge? Like, he was kind of pessimistic the first 30 minutes of the episode. I mean, he was talking about the thing in his wrist and how he wanted a leg challenge, and he just, I can't go the right way. And, like, I don't know. It just seemed
talking about like, those legs belong in a museum, man.
It just seemed like he was, like, just a little down and frustrated, and then he won that challenge and was, like, right back in it, and then back to kind of being down and, like, what the heck just happened with that conversation with Joe. And I don't know, it was kind of fun to watch each individual player, where it was like highs and lows all episode long. Mitch was like the steady guy that he's always been, but there just wasn't much there. But with everybody else, I mean, it was up and down, and like, I don't know. It was just, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got a kick out of the Shaheen and Joe conversation as well, because obviously us as viewers, we know why it's happening, but to be in the moment and have Joe, who's kind of your number one, come at you, and you're like, whoa, dude. Like, I kind of wish Shaheen would have been like, maybe pressed him a little harder. Like, what is your problem? But I do think in that moment, even just back to the initial conversation with Kyle and Joe, and whenever Mary was going to write down Joe's name, if Joe doesn't feel like he's in control, I think he spirals. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's his weakness and might, at the end of the day, be his downfall.
Yeah.
He definitely gets information. He wants to process that information, but if, like you said, he's not in control, he definitely starts to scramble, and you can feel and see his nervousness.
And what's funny is he had control from the standpoint of having the idol. That's when you should feel the safest and not as paranoid as he ended up getting. And that's the part that I thought was so brilliant, that Kyle and Kamilla saw, hey, we can make a pitch here because we see how Joe can spiral and get a little paranoid. So even if he wins, and Kyle even said it, this is going to make the sell a little bit harder, but we can still do it. And it worked beautifully. It was, you don't often see somebody get so paranoid and scramble like Joe did while having the idol, or having the immunity necklace.
I was nervous the whole way, even into tribal council, that the whole thing was going to blow up. Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised. I felt like there were a lot of holes in the plan, so I'm surprised that it didn't just blow up, but glad that it didn't. And I loved how Survivor edited Joe in between Kyle talking at Tribal and Shaheen talking at Tribal. And there's a debate on Twitter, on social media in general right now, with that. They were like kind of the Joe deciphering between the two. Like, is there a more obvious winner's edit? Like, Joe's winning the game. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually against that. I felt it can't be more obvious that Kyle's winning the game, because they showed Joe going through all of that and he was wrong. Like, it showed Kyle come out on top because the plan worked. So there is Joe's obviously winning, but I'm almost more in the camp of Kyle now.
Yeah.
If you believe in a winner's edit. I know that There's a big back and forth. Survivor denies that they do it, but they definitely do it.
See, I don't think they do.
I think they do. You have to tell the story of the winner.
Yeah.
Like,
I definitely think so.
because
But I think they will. I think they're smart enough to switch it up and highlight the kind of the stories for that episode, and it's just going to happen that the winner is going to get, like, I don't know if it's more screen time or, I mean, ideally the person that wins is making some sort of moves or playing a good game. If Eva is getting taken to the end and nobody believes she's going to win, then nobody's going to vote for her and she's not going to win. Like, I don't think that there's a winner edit.
I think there is. Yeah. I think with every winner, they go out of their way to make sure they do not look bad whatsoever. And I think that they've made Joe look bad in a few moments where Kyle, other than like us as viewers, like, dude, pick a side, there really hasn't been like, oh, that was a bad moment for him. And we've seen his story. We've seen his gameplay where you go to seasons where they've hidden the winner, where you go to season 41 where Erica won and nobody was satisfied with her as a winner because we didn't really get to see her gameplay. Go to Edge of Extinction. You have a kind of a decoy winner in Rick Devens, but Chris actually wins. Like, and nobody was satisfied with Chris. And we can go on and on. Like when Rob won in season 22, it was so obvious that Rob was winning season 22. Like, it's there. Trust me.
I think you can find a narrative to fit anything. So
it's there.
But I guess on that note with Joe, because he has looked bad a couple times, but he's also probably getting the most screen time as far as like his personal story, and not to necessarily make him look good, but as far as this conversation goes, it's things like that and how he helps out Eva and, you know, dealing with this thing that he had with his sister and then her passing away. It's moments like that it's like, okay, they're not that they're trying to make him look good, but we're seeing that more from him than we are anybody else. And so I don't know. I think you could, and we can agree to disagree, but I think you can twist that narrative to see it however. So
I could definitely see it both ways, but I do think there is a bit of a winner's edit.
Thank you, Logan.
One other thing that I had, and then I want to talk about kind of everybody's game and maybe some hypotheticals. What'd you think of the barrel part of the reward challenge or the immunity challenge?
I thought it was
glad
really
you
cool.
brought that up, because is that not one of the hardest challenges we've seen?
Yeah, I kept thinking if Star was still in the game, can you imagine her on the barrel? Like, that would just be awesome.
Well, between the barrel and then the ball balancing at the end, I'm like, I'm not gonna hyperbolize. Is that the word? Is that a word? Hyperbole. And I'm not gonna exaggerate.
We're going with it.
I'm not gonna blow this out of proportion. I'm not gonna say it's bigger than it is.
One more. Come on.
I'm not gonna say it was the hardest challenge in 48 seasons, but it might be up there, top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was awesome. And I was like, wait, I don't remember them doing this. And then Jeff said that this was the first time they ever had. And I'm like, yes, they switched something up. And I don't know. That was
the word.
Yeah.
And it definitely was the most difficult challenge for Eva as well. For her to not be able to hit the square.
What was she doing?
He goes, you got to stand right underneath it. And she's standing right underneath it and goes, Phoom! And it's...
Said, she's got the power, but can't aim.
For how athletic she clearly is.
Yeah.
She just... There was one It was like one of the last shots before she actually got it that cracked me up.
It looked like it went into the
go.
woods.
Yeah. She clearly let go way too late.
Oh man,
Yeah.
so funny, so funny. But that I sat there thinking like that would totally be me, and where it's like the easiest thing in the challenge you just fumble at, and they're like, there's not tens of millions of
Yeah.
people watching me do this right now. Like,
And then she almost wins.
yeah.
The other part of that challenge that I thought was pretty interesting, we've obviously seen them going under the nets before and having to do that, but this one it looked like there was sandbags or something making it even tighter, and that looked really, really heavy and pretty difficult, like more than other times.
Yeah, it was a good challenge. I liked it. All right. I'm going to throw some hypotheticals out there. Kyle and Kamilla in the final 3. Does it matter who they sit next to?
No.
And if not, who wins between Kyle and Kamilla? Just based on where we're at right now, I know things can change with 5 people left, but based on where we're sitting right now, really.
Kyle has the relationships. Not that Kamilla doesn't, but Kyle's been the face of the game. He's been the face of the alliance. He's been the face of the moves. I think it's going to come down to the relationships he's built and the familiarity there. And if you have, in a scenario where Joe's in the jury, Joe's a loyalty guy, and he's, even though Kyle turned on him, Joe, I don't see him as being a bitter guy, but I would like to think, hey, I was working with Kyle for most of the game. I got to go with my guy, Kyle. But I not that Joe's his vote counts more than others, but I'm just thinking Joe, Shaheen respects a great move. It would be interesting because there is, I think it's going to be close. I think it'd be a close vote. I don't think it's 7-1 Kyle. I think it's 4-3 or 5-3, whatever the math is.
Yeah, so I'm with you that Kyle has the relationships, and I definitely think that will help. I'm a little worried for Kyle that Kamilla is a more calm and better speaker, or is just calmer and a better speaker, and you can kind of tell when Kyle gets a little flustered and frustrated. That comes across. I don't think it necessarily impacts how he delivers his his words, but you can see in his demeanor and his facial expressions where I haven't really gotten that from Kamilla. I think she's going to stick to her guns and say, yeah, no, you may have totally made these moves, or say, or you may have totally been a part of these, but without me, they wouldn't have been executed. I was the one executing them. You may have come up with it. Or at this point, I wouldn't even put it past Kamilla to say, that's a bold-faced lie. I came up with this move. Like, I brought you in with me, and yeah, we were working together, but I used you to do this and like run Kyle over with the bus.
Yeah. I do think when you go back to the tribe swap, Kamilla could just be like, Kyle, the only reason you're here right now is because I let you in on Shaheen and Thomas going through your bag and came up with this move for you to play your idol to say, like, she could play that. But I think this move that happened tonight is as much like, I think it's equal parts Kyle and equal parts Kamilla. Like, I don't think there's any more than the other. They both had to play their own part in it and be willing to do that for each other and not screw it up along the way.
I definitely think it's beneficial for both of them for the other person to not be in the final as well, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And I would respect that. I think that's something that if it was Joe and Eva and Shaheen, like, obviously they've been very outspoken. Like, we want to get to the final together. I do think great duos realize, oh, well, now we need to go after each other. And it's a matter of who strikes first. Yeah. So that'll be fun to see if that happens.
Yeah. So with Mitch now being in the middle, where do you see next episode landing?
I think it depends on who obviously wins immunity. Because say Joe wins immunity, Eva has an idol
That she's playing 100%.
100% playing, so Mitch goes with them, votes somebody else off, or Eva gets the immunity. She plays the idol or gives the idol to Joe. He plays it. He's safe. So in that sense, somebody else has to win immunity outside of them too, I think, for it to be a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I think it's obviously we need to see the fallout of this vote, because I do wonder if Joe comes to his senses and goes, hold on, something still feels weird.
Yeah.
But they can't let Joe win immunity. That's really all it boils down to.
And part of me kind of wants him to, just for him, because what did Jeff say? He's one away from tying the record.
Yeah.
Which is dang impressive. Like, I love seeing records be achieved or beaten. So that would be really, really neat. But for everybody else left in the game, other than Joe and Eva, they cannot win if they want any shot. But I think if that happens, I think you're spot on, Logan. I think it's Kyle or Kamilla, because I think Mitch will flip.
I mean, he'd be stupid not to. I mean, that's the easy and at that point, I think it would be Kamilla, because Kyle is obviously kind of in with Joe as long as that relationship's not busted 100% there from this. I mean, just kind of just like you said, the fallout from this week.
Well, and that's where it's going to get interesting, because Kyle and Kamilla can keep this up, and now, like they said, now Joe feels like, hey, they saved me from this. Not that I owe them one, but I'm going to stick with them. Let's just get out Mitch and ride with us the final four. But then does Kamilla think, man, now we're at 5, so maybe I do go with Mitch and vote out Kyle and throw him under the bus, that, hey, he brought this to me. I don't know. But she lied so much that I don't know that she could get away with coming clean with some of that. But if she were to flip on Kyle, I don't know. It's just going to be kind of an interesting dynamic that I'm...
Do you think, I may be overthinking this, but do you think, let's say Kyle and Kamilla want to go to the final together. Do you think there's a part of them that, now that they've made this move on Joe, that they feel like they need Joe in the final 3 with them to not have to deal with Joe's throwing his vote somewhere else?
I think the only way Joe would necessarily throw his vote somewhere else would be if Eva was sitting there with them.
And he'd be voting for her regardless of what they say.
Right.
So.
And like, I feel like Joe would do that even if that was the only vote that she got.
Yeah.
I could see him voting for her just because, hey, I told you I've got you no matter what. I'm voting for you.
Yeah. She could have the worst tribal council in history. And
yeah. I would be really surprised if he didn't. But so I don't know. Joe's kind of a non-factor for me. Because I don't know if voting him out is necessarily going to gain them or save them any votes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And let's say they do take him to the end. Let's say it is the final 4 of Kyle, Kamilla, Joe, and Eva. And they say, okay, we do want to take Joe to the end. Eva's going to vote for Joe, right?
Yeah, I think exact same thing. I think that's locked into place. If one's not there, they're voting for the other.
Yeah.
So either one of those, like if it's that final 4, I don't know that it really matters who they take, personally.
Yeah. Just go into it knowing, okay, we don't have Joe's vote, so I need to have 4. I need to get 4 votes, basically, out of the 7 remaining.
Definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think it could go a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, and I don't know if you had this on your list, but I know we kind of were discussing, is there a GOAT in 48? But give me Mitch wins if. Give me that.
That was going to be my next question: is what does Mitch like? How is there a path for him to win? And I don't know that there is, unless he wins immunity. And okay, let me talk this through. So Mitch wins immunity. They vote out whoever. I don't know that it necessarily matters. And then if Mitch wins fire, would that get him enough to at least put him in the conversation?
I just don't feel like fire anymore has given the people enough to be in conversation. I mean, that's not the weight anymore.
So let me throw this one. Mitch wins immunity. They vote out Kamilla. So it's Kyle, Mitch, Joe, and Eva.
Mm-hmm.
Joe wins immunity and puts Kyle and Mitch up to make fire because he's not sending Eva to make fire. Mitch beats out Kyle, Joe, Eva, and Mitch in the final. Does Joe win it?
So
to me, that's the closest that Mitch would ever get, would be to go up against Joe and Eva.
I think so,
but
too.
I still don't know that that's enough.
I don't know if it's enough. I don't think fire plays a factor because I think for Mitch, like Mitch has shown, I know he hasn't won anything individually, but he's shown he can hold his own in a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about this jury, and it's one of the most interesting juries that I can think of, where like I kind of feel like I know where the jury's heads are going to be a lot of the time, but I just don't know how they're going to respond. I think there's a lot of wild cards that are going to be sitting there.
Yeah.
So like, is it a bitter jury and they're tired of how they don't like how Joe and Eva played? Does Mitch win because of that? Like, where you're like, I don't know if he really deserved to win, but he did because we didn't want you to win.
That was my kind of my thought there, because I mean, the people on the jury, obviously, a lot of them had issues with the way Joe and Eva and wanting to split them up, and nobody could ever make them move. If they don't like that, Mitch was clearly with them at one point, has had good relationships with a lot of the people on the jury. People like Mitch. He's a likable person. I could see that happening. Now, I don't think it actually will, but I think that's the closest avenue for Mitch to actually win. Absolutely.
Yeah. But you think about it, like, Chrissy was very outspoken. Like, this majority alliance is boring. We need to break it up. But she's so far removed from the game now, she might not think that. Cedric, I don't know what he's thinking. Chrissy's had time to talk to David. David could have, like, changed her mind. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
We're like last season, like, we wouldn't have been surprised if Sam or Rachel won last season. Like, right. we knew that. But it's just, it's so up in the air in a season that's been pretty straightforward. I guess that's refreshing that it's like, well, there's 5 players left and I don't know who they're going to vote for and I don't know what the jury's thinking. So I guess that's a win.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and like you said, I mean, Chrissy's an interesting one to think about because, like you said, she, didn't like the Strong Persons Alliance and wanted it to get shaken up. But at some level, you can't help but respect it. You may not like it, and you may not like that you weren't a part of it, but you've got to respect on like how they did it, and because they did it very, very well. Whether or not that's enough to throw a vote their way, I mean, time will tell, but I don't know. This is a fun one, and I know we've said it a lot, but it's a much different season from what we've had in a very long time, and I like it. It's not necessarily the most exciting season, but it is fun and it is different, and that's what I like about it. So
it's a good season. It's not a great season, and it's not a bad season. It's a good season. I mean, I'd put it right there in the middle.
Yeah, it's very middle of the road. I think it's a slower pace game. That's what it is. It's if you put season 48 into like season 14, and it just popped it in there, we wouldn't bat an eye. We'd be like, this is a Survivor season.
Yep.
Because we've gone, like, the new era is just boom, 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 Advantage, Journey, Blindside, Idol, just boom, boom, boom. And I read something somewhere, I can't credit it or confirm it, but talking about the lack of idols, the lack of idol hunting, like just lack of advantages in general. I saw something from Mary. I don't know if it was her exit interview or what, but apparently they agreed to not do that post-merge, to do any of that hunting or looking.
Interesting.
Which I think is a large reason why the season feels the way that it does.
Yeah. I know that was another question that Samantha brought up. Like, why is nobody out there looking for an idol? Like, and they haven't even hinted that one might be out there. So, I mean, that would align. That would make sense that they said, hey, we're not going to go searching. So we'll just leave it. And it's not even going to be a part of the storyline at all. So it's crazy to me to think that $1 million is on the line and, oh, just because we've all agreed that we're not going to search for it, that's going to stop me from searching? Heck no. I'm going to search.
I think there's a lot of different things this season where you're like kind of scratching your head. Like, everybody's so passive. This is I actually have, like, somebody commented on one of our TikToks. He said, I don't know if it's narcissism or lack of ambition, but I don't think we've seen a cast this passive since Redemption Island. Even the frontrunners aren't really actively playing. And I kind of compared it to 45, where it's just like the players are kind of not really doing what they should be doing. But that's almost a perfect comparison in Redemption Island, where, like I said earlier in the show, it's pretty dang obvious that Boston Rob was winning that season because there was just nobody that was even really talking about going against him. And if it even, like, if it even got brought up, that person was gone.
Yeah.
That was the season of the buddy system, correct?
That was the buddy system season. Yep.
Yeah.
That was, Philip's first season, former federal agent Philip. Yeah. It's a good season. I take that back. It was not a good season. It's a bottom tier season. I don't care what you say. And
it was a memorable season.
It was a memorable season, but was it fixed? Who says no? I don't know.
You are full of conspiracy theories today.
Yeah. I got them.
Well, I think we've talked about all the hypotheticals I had, unless you guys have any other thoughts or, I don't know. At this point, I'm good with anybody winning. I don't know. If I had to pick, my top three would be Kyle, Kamilla, Joe. Mitch and Eva would be on the bottom, but I like Mitch and Eva. They would need to do something for me to feel like they deserved it.
Yeah.
But I like them all, and I don't know. I'm good.
I like them, but I think if Mitch or Eva win, I think that will just validate a lot of people's feelings towards this season.
Yeah.
So I think if you have in the Survivor fandom's eyes, at least the people that get on the internet, like, this isn't a good season, at least one of the worst in the new era, and then you get a kind of dud of a winner.
Yeah.
Like, oof. And then you have the trouble of going from 48 to season 49 that people unfortunately already don't really care about because season 50 is on the horizon. Like, ugh. You're looking for a little bit of a disaster there.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Is season 49 going to be the most forgettable season of Survivor?
I think
hands down.
Yeah, it will be. It's really unfortunate for that cast because, like, it could be one of the best seasons that has come out, but people are just gonna be like, yeah, that's cool and all, but we're about to watch the biggest season in Survivor history in season 50, and we've been hyping it up for 2 seasons now.
And realistically, the only reason 39 wasn't a forgettable season compared to season 40 when they switched it up was because it was all winners. Like, I feel like if they would have done just a normal season, 39 would have been kind of forgotten about because now it's the new era and all these changes, shortening the length of the game, all that stuff. So I don't know. I think they did a good job of doing that at 39, but I don't foresee that happening, next season for 49. That's crazy. 50 seasons. That's wild.
Yeah. My brother-in-law didn't realize he didn't realize they did two shout out Levi. He didn't realize they did 2 episodes or 2 seasons a year. And was that him or Moses? I have 2 brother-in-laws. I have a lot of brothers-in-law, but I can't remember which one said it. But he was like, "Oh, well, that explains why Jeff isn't dead." Because
yeah, Jeff started when he was 17.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, they do 2 a year.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't remember.
That's funny.
That's funny.
One of them said it, but
Do you? They've never done anything throughout the summer at all, have they? At
not
least
that I know of.
Not
no.
recently. I don't know. I was thinking about that. So, I talk about Big Brother from time to time. That's getting ready to start up here this summer, but they do. They're like winter games, or at least they did, and it was for like just a few weeks over the winter, or they have a couple different times, and it feels like from the season in the fall with Survivor to the spring season, there's like 6 weeks of downtime. I mean, it feels like really quick, especially over Christmas and New Year's, and then it's like boom, next season, and waiting all the way until next fall for the season 49 feels like so far away. I wish they would do, I don't know, some sort of, maybe, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but maybe that's when they bring back favorite players and do like a summer games, kind of a bunch of challenges, like a mini version of Survivor kind of deal.
That's what Survivor Australia versus the World, the season that they're doing. It's like it's a 16-day season. It's just like 2 weeks and it's done. So I'm with it. Like, give us something in the summer to get us through. Just air it in July, August, whatever. And
I guess the only problem is then they're competing with Big Brother, and unfortunately, Big Brother is on 3 days a week, and that's a lot of airtime for CBS.
3 hours each time, isn't it?
No, it's just an hour each time.
Oh, okay.
But
I guess 3 hours a week.
Yeah, so 3 hours a week. So it's still, I mean, that's a lot of show. So I think that would be hard for CBS to give up some time slots there, but I would like something like that.
Yeah. I mean, they can't move season 406 of NCIS versus
Criminal Minds.
Yeah, I love NCIS. There was no shade there, but it's been on as long as Survivor, I think.
It's true. It's true. All right. Well.
Oh, hands of the fans.
Yes.
Do you want an idol or do you not want idols?
And I didn't look it up. Is that the only thing we're voting on?
That was it.
Only one?
Oh.
Do you want idols or do you not want idols?
Yes, I want idols.
Yes.
Hands down. No question. If you don't, you're stupid.
Yeah.
That's not true. I don't mean that. But you can be wrong.
You're not just wrong. You're stupid.
And you're ugly, like your mom.
Just like your mom.
Oh, shout out Cat in the Hat.
Greatest quote ever.
No, definitely voting for idols. So
Already voted. And that is one that I really hope, and I don't think it will, but I hope it doesn't go the other way because I think it'd be pretty disappointing.
I was kind of watching online and everybody was like, why is this a question? Like, who's going to say no idols?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a soul. Like, I know people want old school Survivor back, and after seeing this season, they may not. But when people say they want old school Survivor back, they're not talking about season 1, where it was just nothing.
It's like, and a lot of people that listen to this may not they may not understand what we're talking about, but with Fortnite, we play Fortnite all the time. Everybody wants the old season and like,
Yeah.
you know, I want the old map and the old stuff, and then you get in and play and like, oh, that was cool, and let me go back to the new stuff.
Yeah.
And like Barney Stinson always said, new is always
It's
better.
always better.
News always better.
Yeah. Well,
It's my bedtime show right now. How I Met Your
guess it's a great show. Great show. I guess Survivor of the Week.
Mother. Yep.
I feel like kind of across the board,
Yeah. Definitely Eva.
100%.
I mean, it's Kyle, right?
Yes, Kyle.
Brandon, you look lost there.
I was trying to think of somebody that wasn't on the cast to
Oh.
just throw in there.
Jeff was
Yeah.
Survivor of the Week.
Survivor of the Week.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, Kyle.
Yep.
I think that Shaheen's cyst is the Survivor of the Week. Yeah.
I did like how when he left, he still kind of sung the Survivor theme song.
Yep.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
And
with
then when he said, "If none of y'all get up to hug me, I'm gonna be pissed," I was like, okay, he's not upset about this. Like, obviously upset, but not like bitter. So I don't know.
It was a good. It was a good way to see him go out because obviously we see the other reaction, and I'd rather see his reaction.
All right, socials: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Yep. YouTube.com/at the Merge Feast. Instagram, TikTok, Threads at the Merge Feast. Twitter at Merge Feast Pod. Email us at the Merge Feast Podcast at gmail.com. And be featured on the show like Samantha. We post every day, so check us out there. Follow us. We love to engage. Yup.
All right, well, that's all I've got. So go ahead and say goodbye, Logan.
Goodbye, Logan.